Hi, fun recap here. Today, I'd be explaining an interesting Nigerian movie titled The Story of Us. Have fun watching. The movie begins with a scene where we see a young girl carrying load in the market. She worked tirelessly, after which she went home to find family members gathered in her house, which was unusual. She asked what the problem was, and one of her aunties tells her her grandmother was dead. She didn't believe and went inside to see her. She cried after realizing her grandmother was actually dead because she was the only person she had. She had lived with her grandmother all her life because her mother left her when she was born, and since then her grandmother has taken full responsibility of raising her. After her grandmother's burial, she found some old photos and a letter which her grandmother left for her. She wondered who the lady in the picture was, but after reading the content of the letter, she learned it was an old photo of her mother which her grandmother left for her to use to go look for her mother before she died. Her mother currently lived in the city and her address was also written on the letter. Her grandmother told her to go look for her mother because she didn't want her to live alone, and also now that she was no more, it was time for her mother to take responsibility of her. The next day, she left the village to go look for her mother in the city. It was a very long journey, but fortunately for her, she made it to the city. Immediately she got to the city, she started looking for her mother's address. Her mother's location wasn't easy to identify, so it took her hours before she got to the place. She told the security man the reason why she was there, and so he called his boss to inform him. He asked the young girl what she wanted, but she only said she was looking for her mother who lived in that house. His wife later appeared at the scene and asked what was going on, so her husband explained the situation to her. She started smiling immediately she saw her because she thought she was her mother, but the lady told her she wasn't her mother, that her mother wasn't there, and wished her luck in finding her mother. She showed them the old photo she had of her, but she still said she wasn't the one in the picture, after which the security man sent her away. In the next scene, we see the woman having dinner happily with her husband and lovely daughter. In the morning when they were leaving for work and school, immediately the gate man opened the door. The young girl rushed quickly into the house and hugged her, calling her mommy and begging her not to leave her again. She cried and pleaded with her to take her in because her grandmother was dead and she had nobody. But the woman still denied her and asked the security to take her out. After that encounter, her husband tried having a conversation with her and asked her to tell her the truth about the girl, that he was ready to listen and understand her if she had a daughter before marrying him. But she denied and said the only child she had was Yara, and that girl was just a total stranger who was trying to find her way into their home. Her husband later allowed the girl into their home because she looked just like his wife, thought there was a probability of her being her child in a way. The little girl asked her what her name was and she said her name was Supuruchi. The little girl then asked Supuruchi why she said her mom was her mom as well, and that there was no way they could be related because
as you're smelly and dirty.
And so Supuruchi said it was because she hasn't taken a bath the whole day. Iyada's mother appeared and asked Supuruchi to leave their house angrily, but her husband appeared just in time to save the situation, saying he thinks they should employ her instead. When she was taking Iyada to school, she stopped at a point for them to talk, and Iyada tells her she didn't like that girl and didn't want her in their house. And she promised her daughter that she would do everything possible to get the girl out of their house, after which she asked her to enter the car so they could continue their journey. When she got back from work that day, she told her friend about what has been happening in their house concerning the girl looking for her mother and the argument it has been causing between her and her husband. Her friend asked her if she was sure the girl wasn't her daughter, and she tells her that if she had had a child elsewhere, she would have known. She had another argument with her husband because she didn't understand. He wanted to help Supuruchi by bringing her into their home as a worker, but her husband also didn't understand why she was acting so cold towards an innocent girl even though she was her mother herself. He then insisted that Supuruchi was going to stay with them whether or not she liked it. He brought Supuruchi to live with them and even gave her a room even though his wife and daughter weren't comfortable with it. That night, she went to the kitchen and saw some leftover food which she started eating immediately because she was very hungry. Her madam walked in and she got frightened at her side, causing her to spill the food all over the floor and breaking the plate accidentally. In the morning, she was cleaning the house when her madam entered the living room with her daughter. She greeted her immediately, but she didn't respond. Instead, she gave her dead glares and left. Iada stayed back to have a conversation with her. She asked her if she was aware her mom didn't like her, and if she was happy that her father liked her. She told her that she was aware and felt very bad that she didn't like her because she saw her as her mother and expected her to treat her as her child. That she didn't want much, that all she wanted was her mother's love, for her to see her as her child as well. After that, she stood up to leave, but I saw her crying, so she returned to hug her and consoled her instead. During supper, she passed by and greeted them, and the man asked her to go get her food and join them at the table. But his wife chipped in immediately, saying only family members were allowed at the table and she was a stranger, so she should go elsewhere and eat. She later found her sleeping on the carpet in the living room. She got really angry and said she was dirty and would make her carpet dirty. So Puruchi tried apologizing, but she took her outside and poured cold water on her, claiming to be cleaning her. Her daughter waited for her father to arrive and told him everything that went on while he was away and what her mother did to Sopuruchi, which got him very angry. That night, there was another argument between the couple because of Sopuruchi. The next day, Sopuruchi went to beg her for forgiveness, saying that she knew she was her mother but just didn't understand why she hated her, and was begging her to forgive her if she had offended her in any way, so that she would accept her back as her child. Her daughter even joined Sopuruchi to beg her mom, but she got angry and sacked them. The next time her friend went to visit, the moment she saw Sopuruchi, she called her and told her she was very beautiful, and asked her friend once again if she was sure that girl wasn't her child because she looked just like her, but she denied her again. That night, both parents put their daughter to bed because she wasn't feeling so well. But Sopuruchi watched from afar, smiling in amazement because she had never experienced such a thing in her entire life before. At midnight, her mom went to Sopuruchi's room and asked her why she had come to remind her of the past, that she should have never had come to this house in the first place, and that she was going to make her life a living hell. The next morning, Sopuruchi packed her belongings and tried sneaking out of the house because she was scared of what her mother would do to her. But before she could escape, Iada caught her in the act, so she had no other choice than to return. The next day, she gave her plenty clothes to wash. Her husband tried telling her that she was just a child, but she said since she was living with them as a help, that was the duties of a help, so she would keep washing their clothes and do whatever she asked her to do. The next day, she threw Sopuruchi's things out and asked her to leave her house. But her daughter appeared in the scene and joined Sopuruchi to beg her, which made her very angry, causing her to lock both her daughter and Sopuruchi outside. She kept maltreating Sopuruchi as the days went by, even accusing her of stealing. The next day, Sopuruchi and Iada were playing when Iada collapsed and was rushed to the hospital immediately. The doctor said she had an infection which affected her kidneys. When they got home, she told her husband she believed Sopuruchi was the reason behind their daughter's illness because she had bad luck, and thereby needed to be thrown out of their house immediately, which got him very angry because Sopuruchi was just a child and he said they both knew perfectly well that she didn't have anything to do with Iada's infection, causing another heated argument between the couple that night. The next day, when she went to visit her daughter, she took Sopuruchi with her but asked her to stay outside. But her daughter insisted that she wanted Sopuruchi to stay with her, so she had no choice than to let her stay with her. A few days later, Iada was discharged from the hospital because she was feeling a bit better. That same night, she was having her supper at the kitchen as usual when her mother barged in and asked her why she had come to this house and why she was here to remind her of her past. She started asking her so many rhetorical questions and threatening her to the extent that she didn't hear Iada calling out to her till she fainted. She was rushed to the hospital again, but this time the doctor said her condition has gotten critical, that her kidney had failed and thereby needed a transplant in order for her to stay alive. That night, she approached Sopuruchi in a very nice way. She even bought her gifts, new clothes and snacks, which really surprised her, but she was happy that she has gotten a dress from her own biological mother for the first time in her life. She then even promised to buy her more clothes and apologized for being mean to her. The girl then asked her why she was being so nice to her because it was unusual. And that was when she told her that she needed a favor from her, that Iada was dying because she had kidney failure. and thereby wanted Suprochi to donate one of her kidneys to her in order to save her life, because her and her husband wasn't a match and she believes Suprochi will be a match. But after explaining the process involved in it to the girl, she got scared and refused to donate her kidney, which got her really angry, and she told her that if she thinks she was treating her badly, then she should wait until she doesn't give Yada that kidney for her to survive. And that was when she would see real hatred from her, threatening and scaring her before leaving. The next day, she packed her belongings and decided to run away, but upon reaching outside, she saw the security man, which made it impossible for her to escape, so she had no other option than to return back inside the house. She then went to get ready in the outfit her mother bought for her and told the man she was ready for them to go to the hospital, which surprised him. But when he asked her why, she said she was going to donate her kidney to Yada because his wife asked her to. He then got angry and asked his wife why she asked Suprochi to donate her kidney to her daughter, because she was a minor and she knew that. But before things could get out of hand, she received a call from the hospital and the doctor told him they had gotten a match, which made them very happy. The transplant was successful and Yada was discharged. She was so happy to see Suprochi again and thanked her for offering to offer her kidney to save her life when she was sick. But she said it was okay and just asked her to lend her a phone, that she wanted to make a phone call, which she did. She then called her auntie and asked her if she was sure the woman they asked her to go see was her biological mother, because all she has been doing to her ever since she got there was more treatment. She asked her auntie to tell her any circumstances which were surrounding her birth and why she ran away and left her with her grandmother after giving birth to her. Her auntie then told her she was her biological mother and told her everything that happened years back and why her mother abandoned her. After that, she went to beg her mother and asked her to forgive her because she knew better now and knew everything her father did to her in the past, and pleaded with her to forgive her and accept her as her child because it wasn't her fault. She got aggressive and started yelling at her to leave her house. She was screaming on top of her voice so much that her husband heard and came down to plead with her to stop being so mad at the young girl, even though he didn't know what was happening. But she kept screaming and asking her to leave, to the extent that she even wanted to beat Suprochi. So she broke down in tears, so her husband had to call her best friend to come help him handle the situation at hand because his wife was out of control. After she calmed down a bit, she got back into her right senses and started telling them the whole story. She told them that Suprochi was her daughter. She said when she was 14 years old, she had an affair with Suprochi's father, even though it was against her parents' wish. She thought she loved him and continued dating him till one day when he was celebrating his birthday and invited her over to their house. She said she was a virgin at that time and just went to the party to have fun with him. Also because she thought his intentions were genuine, that he would marry him one day. But while they were having fun, he offered her a drink, unknowing to her it was poisoned, which made her weak and sleepy, after which he took her into a room and abused her sexually. He didn't do it alone but also invited some of his friends who all had their way with her. After that, they left and she never saw him again. When she later found out that she was pregnant, she went to his house to look for him, but his parents sent her away. Months later, her belly grew bigger and people started talking about her and her pregnancy in a bad way, calling her names in the village, which made her really uncomfortable and embarrassed. She was never happy with the pregnancy and was never happy throughout the pregnancy. That is why immediately she gave birth to Suprochi, she left the baby with her mother and set off to the city to start her own life afresh. She forced herself to forget the past and made it seem as though nothing like that ever happened to her, and that she was never raped and she never had a baby. That is why when Suprochi came looking for her, she kept denying her. Her husband understood and consoled her and also made her understand that it wasn't the girl's fault, that even though she went through hardship because of her father, the baby was just innocent. He asked her how she also figured out that she was her child and if she knew she was the one the moment she came. And she said yes, that the first day she set her eyes on her, she knew she was her daughter because she had her late mother's earrings on. And the picture she showed her too, that was her picture as a teenager. The next morning, Sporochi packed her bag and decided to leave the house again, but Yara saw her again and asked her why she always wanted to run away. She told her that she just wanted to leave because she had to, but the girl begged her to stay, that if she doesn't, then she will either run away with her or scream for everyone to hear that she's running away from the house. She insisted on leaving, so Yara started shouting on top of her voice till she drew her mother's attention. She asked Soprochi why she was leaving, and she told her she couldn't stay with them anymore because she didn't think it was right for her to stay after everything that had happened. Also because she knew she didn't want her there and she couldn't bear any form of maltreatment anymore. That's why she's leaving. She then took Soprochi's bag and begged her, started apologizing to her and asking for her forgiveness for treating her the way she did. She said she was her daughter and that she knew it and was just too scared to accept the past because she thought it would ruin her life. But now she knew better and was willing to accept Soprochi and treat her as her daughter and give her everything she lacked. After much thought, Soprochi forgave her and she complimented her that she looked very beautiful in that green dress. And Soprochi got so excited that she said she was very happy that it was now her favorite dress because her own mother bought it for her. And she said yes, that she would even buy her more pretty dresses. She then called her daughter, which made her so happy, while Iyala watched them and smiled happy. She also called her mommy, after which they hugged. Yada also joined the hug and they were all very happy. The story of us. The end. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. If you like this video, kindly give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos like this. See you on the next episode.